What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I'm going to be going over how I chart every Sunday. So every Sunday, to prepare myself for the week, I'll completely clear all of my levels out and completely rechart every single stock that I watch. So over here you can see my watch list. These are all the stocks that I watch. If you want to take a screenshot or write them down, you can. And then besides all these stocks, there's 5 other names that I have here. I have the chart of Bitcoin, I have the chart of Ethereum, and then I have SPY, QQQ, and VIX. VIX is the volatility index. This is the basic Thinkorswim chart. And right here, if you go to Style, Settings, there's a couple changes that I make to this chart just to help me visually see it better and it just looks nicer. So first, I'll take off Overlap Volume right here under General. I then go to Price Axis, and I will take off Enable Left Axis. I then go to Time Axis, and I'll add anywhere from 8 to 10 bars on the right. This just leaves some space in between the last bar and the numbers on the Y-axis. These are the time frames that I use. So I start higher time frame and then I go down. I'll try to draw as many levels as I can on the 3-year 1-week chart, and then as many levels as I can on the 2-year 1-day chart. So most of my key levels are coming from the weekly and the daily chart. And then I'll get intraday levels, and then I also play high of day and low of day, but I'll get into that once that I get to the first stock that we're going to chart. So these are the time frames that I look at right here, and then I'll go to appearance, and I change 3 things here. I go fill up so that all of my green candles are also filled up, and I will click color as symbol ticks as for volume bars, so that the volume bars are red for the red candles and green for the green candles. It just helps me visually see the chart. And then the last thing that I'll do is I'll take off grid, and then I just hit apply. Okay. So the first stock that I'm going to chart today is AMD, and that's because AMD has a really clean chart. Ever since before COVID, it just has a very clean looking chart. It follows basic support and resistance really well, so I think that this will be a good example. So first and foremost, I'll always go to the most recent weekly candle, and I'll put in last week's high and last week's low, and I'll also put in all-time high. And I put an all-time high, which is actually last week's high, and then last week's low right here. Then after I put in last week's high, last week's low, and all-time high, I'll go to the levels that I see on the weekly chart. So the 3 key levels that I see on the weekly chart is 100, 74, and 58. So this was resistance. We broke over, and then we came down, tested 74 as support a bunch of times, consolidated in this big range, this long range. Resistance was right about 100, and then we broke over 100, found support at 100, and are now pushing up and making new all-time highs. Next, I'll go to the 2-year 1-day, and I'll see the levels that I'm seeing on the daily chart. So the only level that stands out to me on the daily chart is this 119 level, because we pushed up after we broke over 100, made a new all-time high, and then we came back, tested 100 as support, pushed over, made a new all-time high, and tested previous all-time high as support, and then ran up about 35 points. So after I have the weekly and daily levels that I'm going to be playing and that I like and that I see, I'll go to the hourly chart and I'll put in the close of last week. So as you can see here, we closed at 147.89. Then now I have last week's close. I'll go to the 15-minute chart, see if I'm seeing anything. Usually I don't really see levels, but when I'm looking intraday, or maybe I'll see a trend or something, I can see a kind of trend line here, but it's nothing really of too much significance, so I'm not going to put it. I'm not going to put too much strain on my eyes, have myself watching a lot. I actually prefer as clean of a chart as I can. So if there's not too many levels, I'm not just going to try to look for levels and make up levels. I'd rather just chart the key levels that I see and play whole dollar points like 100, 150, 175, 225. Clear whole dollar psychological levels that are also clear levels on the chart are my favorite levels to play and work around. On top of, I always will chart pre-market low, pre-market high, yesterday high, yesterday low, and yesterday close. So this is Sunday, so we don't really have that. But throughout the week, you'll always just be readjusting that every morning. And those are the levels that I like to chart for during the week. All right, next I'm going to show you the levels that I have on Amazon and why I have those levels, how I got those levels, and what I'm seeing. So right here, you can see all-time highs, $3,773. And this range we've been in for over a year. Support of this range is 2,900. That's pretty clear. It has 1, 2, 3 touches. And then we also have resistance at this 3,500 number. That's also a very clear whole dollar, $500 level. So that's a clear level right there. And then what I'm seeing right here is this range of 3,180 to 3,190 is support. We've tested that 3 times now and held. I'm also seeing this 3,550 level on the weekly candles. So we have a touch here, another touch here, a touch here, a touch here. And now we'll go to the daily chart. And this range right here that held as support is now pretty clear on the daily chart. And then you can just see that Amazon respects whole dollars, $50 level, $100 levels really well. So whenever you're around a whole dollar level like that, always be alert. So right here we have last week's low and last week's high and then last week's close. Also, this 3,580 was the top of a gap fill that we had that started here. But now you can see that we haven't had a daily close over 3,580. So 3,580 and 3,600 are our next resistance points. And then I think that we have a pretty clean move up to all-time high that's waiting. 3,700 is going to be possible resistance, but this Amazon chart actually looks really good to me, and I'm waiting for this to pop as we've been consolidating for a long time. Lastly, I want to point out that I only really trade levels from the weekly and the daily chart on Amazon. I won't try to look for little levels on the hourly or 15-minute chart. I'll look at those charts just to see and get a feel for it, but I'd rather play those big whole dollar levels and just trade basic price action when I'm trading Amazon. So then the last name that I'm going to show you is Facebook, and I think that Facebook is setting up really well for this week, but here are the levels that I'm seeing and why I'm seeing these levels. So first and obviously we have all-time high, and then we have right here, we have last week's high, last week's low, and last week's close. And then 345 is a key level that I'm seeing on the weekly chart. You can see it right here. And also 350. So we pushed up over here. We broke all-time highs and we came down. And where did we find support? I'll go to the daily chart. We found support at 310. So that 310 level is a level for me. And you can see here we're creating an inverse head and shoulders. Push down, there's the inverse head right here, neckline, and then let's maybe see a push up to the upside. So obviously 345 and then 350 are going to be inflection points, but when I'm charting, I'm not just trying to see a bunch of levels. I'm trying to see levels that are near that can potentially be setting up this week that I want to be trading. So it's not about just like having a bunch of studies and indicators and levels and trend lines and all this on your chart. It's about having a few levels that are pretty key levels to you that you want to trade around, knowing those levels, and then always just keeping your intraday levels, what you're seeing during that week on watch, and then just trading key levels and key price action. So on Sunday, I like to keep it big picture. During the week, I'll go more into the 15-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, and then whenever I'm trading, I'm always trading only off the 1-minute chart, level 2, and the basic price action that I'm seeing. I don't even use any EMAs or VWAP when I'm trading. I've tried them. They just don't work for me. So I keep it super simple, and if you know, my best time to trade is the 9:30 minute and the first 5 minutes, the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of market open. I find that that's when everything's the most volatile and I can get the best moves and the contracts work out the best for scalping. It's just my personal preference and what works for me. But that's why I like key levels on the higher time frames. and I want to trade around those, and it's why I don't have a bunch of levels and a bunch of noise on my charts. I just like to keep it simple. So everyone has their own way. You have to find your way. This is my way, what I like to do. So let me know if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions down in the comments, and have a great rest of your day, and I hope that you kill this upcoming trading week.